This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
So we understand that at the moment, first off, we understand that the fires were exacerbated by severe winds. And as of right now, we've seen, or authorities on the ground have seen, the winds kind of reduce in intensity. Can you tell us about that and what they're saying about taking advantage of this window?
Exactly. So there's a wind phenomenon in Southern California called the Santa Ana winds, and they generally in California, winds come off the coast, off the ocean, but the Santa Ana winds form in the east of California, so away from the ocean in high pressure situations, and they can be really strong and fierce. They can blow easily up to 150 kilometers per hour. And they are really dangerous with fires because they happen in very low humidity. So they've been known to cause or at least exacerbate pretty intense fires. And that's certainly been the case with these. Like you said, today, Sunday, has been relatively weaker winds. So the fires have been put out. A lot of the work that the firefighters are doing is with aircrafts and helicopters, and with lower winds, it's easier for those for firefighters to get up in the sky and to contain these fires. What is being forecasted is that the winds will go back up within the next couple days and probably remain strong until the middle of the week. So Wednesday or so.
So just quickly, for the sake of our listeners, I mean, it's nighttime over where Mr. Klopotowski is. We're in Monday, he's in Sunday. And I just needed to clarify that very quickly. But speak to us about the more immediate concerns. In light of what you said, the expectations that the winds will pick up, what are the more immediate concerns on the ground? What are the initial things that authorities are now handling before this phenomenon resurfaces?
Yeah, so part of it is just making sure that these fires, the containment continues to grow. So today, as you said, today is still Sunday night, although it's almost we're about an hour away from midnight on Monday morning in California. So one, keeping those fires, making sure that they become more contained. Two, a number of other fires have broken out throughout the city. These have been smaller, but they nonetheless have caused evacuations and have done damage. So making sure that no new fires spread. Those are the two main ones. And then on top of that, making sure that evacuations happen smoothly, that families are able to find somewhere where there's safe shelter, and getting that information across to people. It hasn't always been easy to communicate that for public officials to the citizens of Los Angeles. And then on top of that, just making sure that the residents of Los Angeles who are in safe areas have resources that they need. A lot of the city has smoke in the air that's making it harder for people to breathe. And, there are a number of health issues that can be added on because of that. So those are kind of the main things that people are thinking about. And then in the long term, this is likely to be the most expensive fire damage in the United States history. Obviously, these are not contained yet, and we don't know what the total extent of the damage will be. But right now, the current estimates are about $150 billion. So that is going to be getting financial aid to California from the federal government, and all of that will be figured out in the political sphere. But that's more long term.
So, Mr. Klopotowski, we have seen reports of assistance for the firefighting in LA. Reports of firefighters coming in from Mexico, from South Africa as well. How has this helped with efforts to contain the fires?
Well, there's been, as you say, a number of sources of firefighters. There are firefighters from all over California, which is the most populous state in the country. As you say, also Mexico, South Africa, Canada, also prisoners in California who have some fire training are being used as firefighters. They're getting paid 60 cents an hour. So it's some people are not, some residents are not really happy about that. And there's actually, in the previous elections in California in November of this year, there was a bill to pass in the state that would have ended basically forced labor for prisoners, but that didn't pass, and now many prisoners are being used in the fight against these fires. But in general, yes, as you say, a number of countries, a number of America's allies have contributed their firefighting forces, and that's been a great boon. There's also been talk about whether the fire budget in Los Angeles was reduced by the city's mayor, and the mayor said that she didn't reduce the budget. Some people say that she did. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Actually, the overall budget is, I think, in the next fiscal year will increase a little bit. So anyway, that's also been part of the debate, mostly among politicians, about whether Los Angeles was truly prepared to fight this, or to fight fires as catastrophic as these are. But that's a little bit besides the point. As you say, firefighters are working around the clock. These fires broke out last Tuesday, so it's been about 5 days now, and they're doing everything they can.
You know, we're aware that California is a fire country. Essentially, wildfires are not new to the area. But coincidentally, this is happening at a time where globally you've got UN bodies. The World Meteorological Organization has confirmed that 2024 was the hottest year on record, hitting temperatures of more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. We also have just endured what is the hottest decade on record. So all of this spurs conversations around climate change and the need to dial back on fossil fuels and whatnot. Interestingly, I don't know that I've caught that conversation from US media or within political spaces. Is there a chance, is it that we've simply missed it? Is there a chance that climate change will factor into the conversations around the fires in LA? Or are we likely to see it swept under the carpet?
It's a really great question, and one that's hard to answer because most California in general has a Democratic governor. The city of Los Angeles has a Democratic mayor. I think they both, and most Californians would say that climate change is a factor here. As you know, absolutely, California has, especially Southern California, wildfires occur, pretty regularly, and sometimes the state even does, and this is an old indigenous way to take care of land, but they're called prescribed burns. Basically, making sure that some areas are burnt out so that they won't be affected, or they won't catch more easily if there's a bigger uncontrolled fire. At the same time, the Republican Party, which is led by Donald Trump, who will be inaugurated here in a week, essentially is not willing to talk about climate change as a major factor. You see this in a state like North Carolina that's more Republican leaning, that was hit really hard by hurricanes at the end of 2024, and there's not much of a conversation about climate change. And it's a similar thing here, where many people on the left would like to talk about climate change and like to say this is evidence that the country or a state like California is at risk of higher fire damage because droughts are more likely to happen and likely to be more extreme. For example, or access to water is going to be harder to fight droughts, things like this. But on a national level, the people who have the political power to deal with these things are fighting with a party, the Republican Party, that doesn't really either they say they don't believe in climate change or don't think that it's a real issue. Whether or not we believe that they truly don't think climate change is real, that's hard to know. What is easy to know is that fossil fuel companies, particularly oil companies, have long been donors of Republicans. And so there is a monetary interest in the Republican Party writ large to sort of not handle climate change. But probably that conversation after the fires are more contained and the damage is done, that conversation will be had.
Well, Mr. Klopotowski, thank you very much for your time on this conversation. We do appreciate you staying up to have this conversation with us. John Klopotowski is a US-based journalist who joined us on News Extra to talk about the fires which have been burning through Los Angeles. Now, so far we have an update. The death toll, according to officials in the city of Los Angeles, has risen to 24, 16 being recorded in the Eaton fire zone and another 8 dead found in the Palisades fire zone. The battle to contain the worst fire in LA history continues, and we'll bring you updates as we have them. You're still on to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Up next is the News Review.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.